Okay, so now we're looking at Contemporary Chinese, Volume 2, Revised Edition, Lesson 5, Words and Expressions, Part 2. And so we start off with the expression for sunny day, 晴天, 晴天. Just wish today was a sunny day. It's not, unfortunately. In that expression, 晴 meaning clear. So a clear day is, by definition, a sunny day. We can also have days where there's lots of clouds, and the word for cloud is 云, 云, which is the second character here and the second syllable here, 云. And if we want to say it's cloudy, we just add the word for many, 多 in front of that, 多云, 多云. Now, how do I actually use it? If we want to say, today is cloudy, we would just simply say 今天多云. We don't need to add a verb in there. So in English, you say today is cloudy, but in Chinese, they just say 今天多云. Or with the sunny day, it would just be something like 今天晴天. You could, in theory, say 今天是晴天, but it's not necessary. Just say 今天晴天. That's fine. And certainly with the 多云, you just say 今天多云. Okay, moving on to rain. Well, it means rain in the sense of verb, as you can see there. It said it's a verb object. We've talked about that before, the combination of two characters, one of which is a verb, one of which is an object. And we've learned this expression before, 下雨. So really what they mean is here is to rain. And clearly here they're identifying the noun part of that as rain, 雨. And again, if you look at the character, it's one of the fun things about some of the Chinese characters that they do look a little bit like what they describe. So you can almost sort of see the rain in the middle of the character. Okay, so what's good about this, learning the expression 下雨, is this part, 下, which is the verb to fall. We know it has a lot of other meanings, but as a verb in this context, it means to fall. So then we want to talk about snow. All we need to do is add the word or the character for snow, which is 雪, 雪. So the expression for to snow, or that snow is falling, is 下雪. And I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit. It's a bit blurry and possibly a bit off screen. But if you look up here at 雪, the top part of that character is actually 雨. 雨. So when you go to learn it, once you've learned 雨, then you just have to learn the bottom part of 雪. So now we're going to move on to being windy, to be windy. And the expression is 刮风, 刮风. In that expression, 刮 is the verb and it means to blow, but only blow in the sense of the wind. So if one was to actually like blow up a balloon, that's a different word altogether. That's 吹. I might just put that up here. 吹, 吹, which means, to blow, but in the sense of a person, blowing air out to blow something up, or just, blowing like that. When it comes to wind, it's 刮风. Second thing I want to point out with 刮风 is that the 风, F-E-N-G, it's not feng, it's feng, 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 刮风. Again, because this expression to be windy is made up of two characters, the first of which is a verb, the second of which is actually a noun. So there are occasions when you have to split it. Same with 下雨 and 下雪. With 刮风, if we wanted to say the wind is blowing strongly, we talk about a strong wind in English. What they say in Chinese is 刮 Let's find the word. Here we go. 大风. Just wait for it to catch up. And that's literally, you know, to blow big wind. And what we mean by that is it's blowing a strong wind. Sometimes we might say blowing a gale in English. Okay, so the expression for strong wind in Chinese is 大风. So 刮大风, and you can see how we split the characters there to be able to say that. Moving on, we've seen up here snow, 雪. So now we're going to learn how to say to snow ski, and that is 滑雪, 滑雪. So we've already learned the character 雪 up in the expression for to snow, and now we're learning this new character 滑, which means to slip or slide, or in the case of snow, to ski. You can also actually extend this by changing the second character. So if we want to say, for example, to water ski, I think we all know the word for water, which is 水. So you can use the same verb and just add 水, and you've got 滑水, which means to water ski. Ice skating. So, and this is definitely, when it says skate, this is definitely ice skate. And why is that? Well, you can see already, 滑冰, because 冰 here means ice. So it's literally sliding on the ice. 滑冰. I was thinking before, I also teach you the expression because to skate, we also talk about inline skates. Well, actually, it's not even just inline skates. It's any kind of roller skates where you use it on just a normal surface, not on ice, and that's called liu han bing. Sorry, liu han bing. The bing we can already see from the word list here, meaning ice. The han means dry. Now, it's not talking about literally dry ice. It's not. It's talking about skating on concrete surfaces, for example. Liu han bing. So there is the expression. So, for example, just to quickly jump back to a previous grammatical form that we learned not so long ago, if I wanted to say that she skates very well, I would have to say 她滑冰滑得很好，非常好. If I want to say that she snow skis very well, 她滑雪滑得非常好. Okay, so that's another example of where we need to sort of split the verb up, and then in these cases we have to repeat the first character, which is the true verb in the expression. And so that also applies for the verb to swim, which is 游泳, 游泳. So the 游 is the actual verb in the expression, as it says there, and the 泳, it's like when we say, you know, have a swim. I'm going to have a swim now. Have a swim. There we're using swim as a noun, not as a verb. It's not an action. And in English we say to have a swim. The have is our verb and swim is a noun. So in Chinese, 泳 is swim in the sense of a noun. So again, if we want to say, you know, he swims extremely fast. 他游泳游得非常快. All right, I might just type that in there because it'll just remind you both of how this word is used and also the previous grammar form that we've learned. So say 他游泳游得, oops, I've got to find that. That's the one. 游得非常快. So he swims very fast. Okay, so you can see how we've repeated the verb in that. That's 游泳. We now have the word 美, so we can talk about the scenery being 很美, that sort of thing. generally, if we talk about a person being 很美, I guess you can refer to physical beauty. Sometimes it also refers to more the kind of, spiritual beauty or personality being beautiful. So probably, yeah, but you can say this also referring to one's physical appearance. Moving along, we now have the adjective short, 短. Now, the thing to point out here is it's in reference to, say, for example, short time, but you don't call a person short. And also, sorry, distance. You can use 短. But if we're talking about a person being short, we use another word, and that is and I'll go find it now. That's it. Yeah. So just change that. Short. For a person being physically short. 他很矮. So just to remind you, 短 is for short time, short distance, and so on. Moving on, the next expression we have is young. So there's a number of different ways you can use it. One of the simplest ways is you could say, I don't know, 这两本书都一样. These two books are both the same. The other way that we can use it is when we're comparing two things, and I think that comes up in this lesson. So you could say, I'm the same as him. 我跟他一样. The other way you can say it is 我和他一样. So you notice that the structure that we've got for this is, just move this over here, A 跟 B. Yeah, two things that we compare come either side of 跟 or 和. So what is the role and the meaning of 跟 or 和 in this? Well, if we say I am the same as him, so we use the preposition as, and the Chinese use 跟 or 和, A 跟 B. So the two things you're comparing come first. Yeah. So that's that one. Let me move this up out of the way a little bit. And we'll see more how to use this in the grammar and in the dialogues as well. Then we come to number 12, about the same. 差不多. It has a number of different meanings. Let's look at the word and break it down itself first, and then maybe look at a couple of the meanings quickly. So 差 means inferior or less than. 不 we know, and 多 we know. So 差不多, if you look at it, literally means inferior by not much, or less by not much. And by extension, I guess you could say, different by not much. Cha itself doesn't mean different, but you can kind of, imply, or you can see how that would work. Cha is literally less or inferior. So when we want to say two things are approximately the same, about the same, we just say, 这两个人都差不多. These two are both about the same. Thing is also too, you can use it to qualify quantity, age, time. So you might say, well, it's like there's roughly 100 people here. You can say 这边有差不多100个人. So you can use 差不多 in that sense, meaning about, approximately. That's not the way it's used in the text on this occasion, but it can also mean about or approximately. Or if you're guessing somebody's age, you might say, 他差不多25岁. So they're pretty much 25 years old. The other way you can use it too is if somebody asks you, have you finished that project that you were working on? And you want to say, yeah, pretty much finished. It's mostly finished. You would say 差不多了,差不多了. So it means that it's pretty much done. Not completely, but mostly done. Moving along, number 13. So here we have a new way of saying something that we already know how to say, very or extremely. So we've learned the expression, for example, if we want to say something is extremely, very good or extremely good, we can say it's 非常好. Note with this new expression, if we were to say the same thing using this new expression, we would say 好极了. Okay. So the main thing is a position thing. So that, as you can see from there, you know, little dots on the vocab list there, it comes after the adjective that it's modifying. Okay, 好极了, extremely beautiful. 漂亮极了, using beautiful up here, 美极了, using the character that we learned for hot in part 1 of this, 热极了. Or if we're going to use the other word that we learned for cold in part 1 of this, 冷极了. So the main thing to remember is that this expression 极了 comes after the word that it modifies. 极 is literally the extreme of something, and it appears in a lot of other words that involve that connotation of extreme. Moving on to number 14, probably the most useless word we'll learn in the whole semester, 枫叶. 枫叶. Notice the first character has the character for wind in it, 枫, but it's got the, on the left there, I don't know if I can do this sufficiently accurately, it's got the wood character. So this is a kind of tree. I guess what's more useful for us than the feng part of it is the ye. So if you look at the character for ye, it's made up of the two parts. It's made up of a mouth, and it's made up of the character for 10. Ye. So that's a handy one to know, and I guess you can apply that to whatever the particular tree is. You just add the name of that tree before ye. Actually, the Chinese have an interesting saying, which obviously we're not going to test, but you might be interested to know. It is 叶落归根. Oops, wrong one. 归. I'll get the right one eventually. 3归根. 叶落归根. 叶落归根. And what it means is literally the leaf returns to the roots of a tree. So when the leaf falls, it falls down onto the roots of the tree. And they often use this expression in relation to Chinese that move away from China, overseas, maybe, you know, within their own lifetime for a job or for whatever reason it is, and also in reference to, you know, Chinese that maybe moved away from China hundreds of years ago, particularly if you think about areas like Malaysia and so on. Some of the Chinese that have been down there have been there for 500 years. And this concept that ultimately for a Chinese person, regardless of where you are, your home is China. And so one way or the other, whether it's physically or spiritually, you will return to your home. 叶落归根. So that's just another expression which uses that expression, yeah. Now, number 16, sometimes. This is a handy one to say. So there's a couple of ways you can say it. One is the full expression, 有的时候. So, I don't know, you know, do you like eating Chinese food? 你喜欢吃中餐吗? And you might say, yeah, sometimes I do. 我有的时候喜欢吃. So, you put the 有的时候 before the verb. but then there's two other ways of saying it, each more brief than the other, more concise. So you can also say 有时候我有时候喜欢吃中餐. And then the briefest of all is 有时. The third one, the briefest one, generally is not spoken so much. Even though the Chinese, particularly when they write, they like to be very concise. Classical Chinese was a very concise language. There was not a lot of fluff in the middle, not a lot of filler. They used very few characters / words to express a lot. Modern Chinese is structurally different from classical Chinese. And they express things using, more terms. There's more sort of different parts of grammar and connection words and expressions and so on in modern Chinese. But there's still, in written Chinese, is that tendency to where you can have that brevity of and conciseness of classical Chinese. So when they're writing, quite often you will just simply see 有时, meaning 有的时候. So it's the briefest way of being able to say that. Speaking wise, though, for all sorts of reasons, if you think about it, when you're speaking to someone, there's not always perfect acoustic conditions. It could be you're in a crowd, it could be somewhere where there's lots of background noise. And if you use expressions that are too brief, sometimes they're hard to hear. So generally speaking, this is not a hard and fast rule, but people will tend to use the slightly longer expressions where one exists. So they might say, 有时候. That's a bit briefer than 有的时候, but it's not as hard to hear as 有时. So just when you guys are speaking, it's up to you which one you use. Don't use 有时. You can use the other two. Either is fine. And when you're writing, you can use any of them. It doesn't matter. And then our final expression here, which is seldom. 很少. 很少. I have a feeling I've actually missed one. I have. I'm going to jump back to that in a moment. I missed one just before, and it relates to this. So, well, okay, let's do it now. You might say, 姚老师 in the final oral exam might ask you, 你常常回家看父母亲吗？你常常回家看父母亲吗？ So the 常常 there is the expression I missed just before, which is this one, meaning often. Okay, 常常 often. Put before the verb, it's an adverb, so it's put before the verb. And you might say, as one possible response, 我很少回家看父母亲. So I seldom go home to see my parents. Or you might just use the same adverb that is used in the question. 是的，我常常回家看父母亲. Last thing, just to show you, with that expression 常常, I don't know if we've actually done it, but anyhow, there is another very common expression that means the same thing. 经常. 经常. No, I'll do it over here. 经常. So that means the same as 常常. Let me put it somewhere where it's not going to get. There it is. And to be honest, sometimes too, they just use the one character. 你常回去看你父母吗? So it all means the same thing, those three expressions.